Hello, my name is Dr. Ben Newman. I'm a coronavirologist, and let's get to your questions. Next question is from Emma. How you doing, Emma? All right. Let's see. Hi, and hope you're doing well. Fine. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah. Let's see. All right. So, yeah, and you're saying that this evidence that's about to follow is completely anecdotal, and you're so grateful for COVID-19 vaccinations. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. You got a question? Let's try our best. See if there are any scientific papers we can pull from that answer the question. That's what we do. Yeah. Okay. Appears from a growing number of family and friends that the older you are, the lack of symptoms reactions you have to the vaccine. Yeah. Interesting. I think it depends, and yeah, it's in part small sample size, but it's not completely unprecedented. I would say that. So the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe that's the one. They looked at it really carefully in older age groups, and because this is a single dose vaccine, it's a thing that you could give once, and what we see with the mRNA vaccines or any of the two-dose vaccines is that you get much stronger side effects the second time when you already have a bit of existing immunity than you got the first time when you didn't really, your body had no idea what a coronavirus is or what it does. Yeah. So I have noticed also anecdotally that people who have had COVID 19 at some time in the past, even though they may be at the point where you could say statistically they probably don't have any enough antibodies left to protect them from being reinfected, they would still have some immunity, some sort of cell-based immunity. And I've been seeing very anecdotally higher side effects in those people. So in part, you may be talking about the difference between people who had it but didn't know they had it and people who definitely didn't have it. But in the Johnson & Johnson paper, which is where I was going, sorry I got off track, they actually broke it down by age. And if I remember correctly, they had the lowest side effects in the oldest age group, which I think was 80 and up. And then they had still fairly low in the sort of 70 to 80 group, if I'm remembering that age bracket correctly. Could have been 65 to 80, but I think it was 70. I thought they went by tens. And so forth. And then we get down to the kind of the middle age, down to young to middle, then that's where the side effects were right about where you would expect kind of a normal level. Now, as to why that might be, there are a couple of possibilities. So, one, it depends which vaccine you're getting. So, some of the vaccines are based in a thing called an adenovirus. And depending which one we're talking about. So, if you're in the UK, then you're probably talking about the AstraZeneca vaccine. That one's a little different because that's an adenovirus that you would normally find in chimpanzees, and it's not that close to any of the human adenoviruses. But with human adenovirus vaccines, which are like the Johnson & Johnson and the Russian Sputnik, and there's a Chinese vaccine as well, those are all based in, they're sort of encapsulated in the shell of a virus that people do sometimes get. And so some people would have pre-existing antibodies or some kind of immunity against the vaccine. In that case, you would expect the vaccine to be more or less mopped up by the immune system instead of being able to work like a vaccine. They go to various lengths to try to prevent this. They'll change little bits on the outside that are very easy for the immune system to see and grab, so to speak. And so, the vaccine makers are aware of this, but it's a potential thing. So depending which one we're talking about, you may just be running into pre-existing immunity, which has shut down the vaccine to some extent, but in the process will give you lower side effects. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's also not something that you can tell just based on side effects alone. But the other thing is that, you may be just running into an old immune system. And the thing with old immune systems is that they do not work as well as younger ones in a variety of ways, which are, I think, difficult to explain except to say that this is a thing that happens in old age. Stem cells don't work as well. Various mechanisms repairing the body are still flying at a frantic pace, but it's a little less than in younger people. And so you have some more problems. Now, side effects are coming from, as far as we know, like the best assumption right now, probably running into tissue resident macrophages, which is one of these white blood cells, and they live inside of muscles, for example. Some tissue based white blood cell could be dendritic cells, but they're not as widely known for giving bad reactions. They're more specialized in that they just go out and do one job, which is bring the antigen, whatever they're seeing, to the rest of the immune system. We're really rounding off corners here, and you can find exceptions to all these things. But with macrophages, they have a major job, which is to be effector cells, which means they're going to go out and they are going to be fighters. They are filled with all kinds of chemicals. They are ready to do battle like little tiny Rambos, just waiting. Yeah, they love you, man. They're gonna fight for you. Yeah, if you set off the wrong one, yeah, they're not particularly well controlled. They're not particularly smart in the sense that they can't remember from one infection to another. There's no built-in mechanism like there is with some of the other white blood cells that would allow them to build what they would call an immunological memory. And so, yeah, run into the wrong one, overstimulate it with, two copies of the spike gene when it was only ready to handle one copy or something like that. And the specifics are not completely known and are probably a little different in every single case. And we think that is most likely where these side effects are going to start. But that's a difficult thing to actually test because you're talking about a chance event with, one out of tens of millions or hundreds of millions of cells that were hit with the vaccine. Yeah. And it's the old butterfly, flapping its wings and moving the world or whatever kind of thing. It's a very long cause-effect chain. So I think probably what you're talking about is that older people would have fewer, less functional, not necessarily fewer, but definitely less functional cells in the immune system. And yeah, old, kind of sleepy, tired cells may be a little less likely to respond in that way. They're also less likely to give you good, long-lasting immunity. We've definitely seen that with the vaccines. But that would be my guess based on the little bits we know. We don't have a study that directly answers your question that I'm aware of. Maybe out there, but boy, are there a lot out there. So I hope that helps. And yeah, I think I think you're not crazy. I think what you're seeing may actually be real. But at the same time, I would say, yeah, if you got a shot at the vaccine, boy, I would sure take it. Yeah. Thanks very much. This has been Ask Dr. Ben.